Trump's Iran war gamble may have left the US military more exposed at a time when the China challenge is growing. The US is burning through key weapon stockpiles as the threat from China, especially over Taiwan, looms larger. The Iran war has drained parts of the US arsenal, raising new questions about the risks of a Taiwan showdown. Trump's Iran bet is being criticized as costly to US firepower, even as officials reject claims that Readiness has been badly damaged. After Iran, attention is turning to what remains in US stockpiles if a crisis with China erupts. The Iran war has depleted important munitions. Is this an opening Xi Jinping needed to launch an invasion of Taiwan? The US may need years to rebuild some of the advanced weapon stockpiles consumed during the Iran war. A new analysis warns that this depletion could undermine US readiness for any future conflict with China. Precision-guided munitions and air defense interceptors were used at a pace that outstripped replacement rates. That has raised fresh doubts about whether the US can sustain major wars across multiple theaters at once. A prolonged replenishment timeline could weaken American deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. The Iran war also exposed concerns that the US defense industrial base cannot keep up with the demands of modern conflict. Analysts have long warned that any war over Taiwan would require very large volumes of advanced weaponry. Critics argue the costly Iran war failed to produce a decisive outcome while also draining US firepower. The resulting strain on stockpiles may now leave Washington facing greater risks in a future Asia-Pacific crisis. US defense contractors may need at least 3 years to rebuild key weapon stockpiles after the Iran war. A new CSIS analysis warned that depleted inventories could leave the United States more vulnerable. Tomahawk missiles, Patriot interceptors, and THAAD interceptors were identified as 3 of the key systems under strain. The think tank said the main challenge is not funding, but the time required to expand production. That means the window of vulnerability could last for several years until stockpiles are restored. China has notably set a goal of being able to take Taiwan by force, if necessary, by 2027. CSIS said it could take until late 2030 to fully rebuild Tomahawk inventories to their pre-war level. Fewer than 200 Tomahawks are currently produced each year, though Raytheon is aiming to raise capacity above 1,000. The report also said it could take until the end of 2029 to replace as many as 290 THAAD interceptors. Replenishing more than 1,000 Patriot interceptors is expected to be completed around mid-2029. Despite the shortages, the Pentagon has insisted it still has enough in its arsenal to carry out the president's orders. China's aircraft carrier base on Hainan Island could prove extremely useful in a future Pacific conflict, giving the PLA Navy a southern springboard far from its older northern ports. Analysts say the Hainan base could help China counter US containment along the first island chain, by letting carrier groups slip out to sea from a less expected direction. These assessments come from a Chinese military magazine, as cited in reports on May 24, highlighting how Chinese strategists themselves see Hainan's role. The same analysis suggests the base could support a maritime blockade around Taiwan, helping China cut off sea lanes during a conflict. The Hainan base sits in the South China Sea on Hainan Island itself, positioned to the south of Taiwan but still close enough to influence the strait. It is also located at a more comfortable distance from many US and Japanese strike assets, making Chinese carriers there harder to hit quickly. By contrast, China's earlier carrier bases along the Yellow Sea and Bohai Sea coast were much closer to US and Allied forces, and easier to watch and threaten. In wartime, carrier groups sailing from Hainan could transit through the Bashi or Balintang channels to enter the open Pacific, outflanking some existing defenses. These 2 channels, located near the northern Philippines, are directly accessible from Hainan and offer China alternative routes beyond the first island chain. They are also considered relatively less defended segments of the US-Japan First Island chain, which traditionally focused more on choke points to Taiwan's north. On top of the carrier base, China has deployed land-based missile and surveillance systems on Hainan and nearby outposts, thickening its defensive umbrella. Those systems could help counter possible US strikes and support the safe movement of Chinese carriers in and out of the region. All of this makes Hainan increasingly relevant in any Taiwan Strait contingency, especially if China seeks to attack from multiple directions at once. The Chinese magazine said, and I quote, "In a Taiwan Strait conflict scenario, carrier strike groups operating from Hainan could advance from the south and southwest of Taiwan to help establish maritime and air control. Such deployments could complicate or disrupt US and Japanese reinforcement efforts towards Taiwan via the Philippines and the Bashi Channel, while also coordinating with People's Liberation Army forces operating in the East China Sea and the Taiwan Strait to form a broader encirclement posture. In this context, Chinese carrier groups would no longer function merely as vulnerable targets within the first island chain, but instead as a central component of Beijing's efforts to deter or deny external military intervention in a Taiwan contingency." Unquote. The Sonya Naval Complex on Hainan serves as the home base for China's newest carriers, the Shandong and the Fujian, which are central to this strategy. China's older carrier, the Liaoning, remains based in Qingdao with the North Sea Fleet, giving Beijing two distinct carrier hubs in the north and the south. The Sonya complex also includes the Yulin Naval Base, a major hub for surface ships and submarines, further boosting China's long-range maritime reach from Hainan. China has deployed the Liaoning carrier group into the Western Pacific for extended live-fire naval exercises far from the mainland coastline. According to the People's Liberation Army Navy, the drills included tactical flight operations, live-fire events, and search and rescue missions conducted in open waters. Chinese military analyst Zhang Junshi said the exercises would improve realistic combat capabilities, according to Defense Security Asia. Zhang added that the drills also served as a strong deterrent against what Beijing describes as Taiwan independence forces in the region. The carrier deployment is believed to be operating near the Philippine Sea and waters east of the Bashi Channel. Chinese officials stated that the exercises are not directed at any specific country and are being conducted in accordance with international law. The Liaoning entered service in 2012 as the PLA Navy's first fully operational aircraft carrier platform. It uses a ski jump-style flight deck configuration designed to support operations involving Shenyang J-15 fighter jets. The strike group includes guided missile destroyers, frigates, and embarked J-15 carrier fighters operating alongside the carrier. The deployment also includes rotary wing aviation units and long-range support operations to sustain missions at extended distances. Military analysts say the Liaoning is helping the PLA Navy develop a more integrated carrier strike group doctrine for future operations.